All right, Pittsburgh Steelers fans, welcome back. A breaking news podcast. It's been a while since we had one of these because it's different than the Source podcast. These are breaking news, and that's the Steelers name their 2024 captains. And I know you might be thinking, Jeff, couldn't this be like a 2-minute podcast where you just tell us who it is? There's more to it than that. And joining me to do that is Dave Schofield. What's up, Dave?
Oh, not too much, Jeff. Just ready to get this week one going with, the Steelers getting a bonus practice in. We get a Tomlin Tuesday. It's going to feel like the real thing now, even early in the week, even though the game isn't until Sunday.
But it is the real thing. We're finally here at week one, and this is always one of the small little minutia of the start of the season that I always forget about. I should know that they're going to announce the captains. We've done this for years, Dave, and we always seem to forget. And we're always like, oh, yeah, it's week one. They're going to have their team pictures and they're going to have their captains announced and all that stuff. So, and
I knew it. I was thinking it was Wednesday. I don't know why I was thinking that. But then when I look back, I'm like, of course it was Monday. That's just the way they do it.
Being Labor Day is I think it's thrown a wrench into things being Labor Day. Labor Day is really early this year, but nonetheless, and also roster number changes. I think the only roster number, meaning jersey number, that has changed is Beanie Bishop, who was 30 in the preseason. They can't do that. Jalen Warren, he is now 31. Dave, did you see any others that about roster jersey changes?
No, I mean, I don't even know that they've said it all for the practice squad, that they've even announced all of their jersey numbers yet, but it's the practice squad, so it's really not as significant.
All right. So the captains. Let's first talk about the captains. Who's the captain? How many times they've been captains? I always think that I've always felt that the Steelers do a team captain, defensive captain, special teams captain, and offensive captain. They might not announce it that way, but I think they do. So the team captain is the same guy it's been for a long time now, and that's Cam Hayward. Probably at least since Ben Roethlisberger retired, Cam Hayward has stepped up and carried that torch and said, I am the team captain. And he is once again a team captain for the Pittsburgh Steelers. If you want to look at it that way, so then the defensive captain would be none other than TJ Watt. Miles Killebrew would be the special teams captain. And this is where things get interesting. The offensive captain would be quarterback Russell Wilson. So, Dave, before we talk about my conspiracy theories, they're not conspiracy theories, but at least the way my brain goes, what do you think about the captains? Any surprises?
No, I'm really not surprised at all. The question wasn't who, it was really how many. Because the Steelers, they did 4 last year. They did, obviously, again, 4 this year. It was 5 the year before because they did 2 offense, 2 defense, and special teams. Okay. And then the year before that, in 2021, it was only 3. They went 1-1-1. So Cam Hayward, 10 years straight as a captain. This 3 years straight with TJ Watt, where it was the 2 of them. TJ Watt was not a captain in 2021. Why wasn't he a captain in 2021, Jeff?
Because he was holding out.
Exactly, because he hadn't even practiced yet. But the year before that, in 2020, he was a captain. Right. Then it was Hayward, all those years. Here we go. I'm turning this into a trivia show, Jeff. Who was the last Steelers defensive captain not named Cam Hayward or TJ Watt?
James Harrison.
It hasn't gone back that far. Back that far. And honestly, James Harrison was only a captain going back to 2007. James Harrison was only a captain one time, and that was 2009.
Wow. Okay. Shoot.
I'll even give you a hint. It was along with Cam Hayward early on when Cam first started. He was one of 2 defensive guys.
And it wasn't Troy. I mean, that they overlapped.
Troy was the year before Cam started. There was someone else for Cam's first 2 years as captain in 2015, 2016 that was also a captain with Cam Hayward, and it was Big Play
Willie Gay.
That's right. He was a defensive captain in 2015 and 2016.
I didn't remember that. I honestly didn't remember that. So there you go. That's interesting stuff. Miles Killebrew, I think, we did have Chris Boswell, didn't we? Wasn't he a special teams captain at one point?
Special teams is really interesting as well, Jeff. This is the 3rd straight year for Killebrew.
Yeah.
But before that, it was a different one each year. It was more of the captain curse. that I know that you're going to want to bring up here very soon, because it was 3 years of Killebrew. Before that, it was Derek Watt for a year. Before that, it was Jordan Dangerfield for a year. Before that, it was Roosevelt Nix for a year. And remember, I don't think he made it past 2 games.
Rosie Nix, yeah.
And in 2018, it was Chris Boswell.
Okay.
And in 2017, they didn't have a special teams captain.
Wow.
But before that, there was someone else who was captain for 3 straight years before 2017. This is who Killebrew has now tied for how many in a row. And do you remember who that was?
Is this special teams captain?
Yes.
He's tying?
Yes, I'll give you a hint. Coach Tomlin was accidentally asked about him this preseason in the question.
Is it a kicker?
No.
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 I don't know. Who is it?
It was when someone went to ask about Marcus Golden, they accidentally said Robert Golden.
That's great. So, that's awesome.
Yeah, the Steelers haven't always had a special teams captain. They didn't have one in 2012 or 2013 either.
Okay. All right. So here's what we're going to do. I want y'all to hear a quick word from our friends at DraftKings, which they have a really good deal going on for their Pick Six app right now. Using the code CURTAIN, bet $5, you get $50. Do this before this expires in 9/19. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors from DraftKings. All right, we're back, and you're probably thinking again, Jeff, like, what else is there to talk about? You guys just rattled off all the captains. I'm curious if there isn't a captain's curse for the offensive captain. So, Dave, you kind of alluded to this. You go back to Ben Roethlisberger's last year, 2021. He was the captain, obviously. He retires. After that, every single time that they have not had back-to-back captains yet since he retired, because it was Najee Harris. Was Najee Harris as a rookie a captain? No.
No. It was Najee Harris and Mitch Trubisky in 2022.
Okay. Then you have Kenny Pickett last year, and now you have Russell Wilson this year. Is there a curse of the offensive captain, and will Russell Wilson fall prey to this? Meaning, will he not finish the season as the Steelers starting quarterback?
Well, wait a second. When did you say this started?
Well, wasn't it 2021
with Ben Roethlisberger? Well, yeah, you could say 2021 when it was Roethlisberger, but Roethlisberger and somebody else was captains in 2020. Who was always matched with Ben?
It was Pouncey.
It was Pouncey.
Yeah.
So 2020, after that season, Pouncey retires.
Yes.
Ben 2021, retires. After that one, Roethlisberger retires.
Right.
2022, Trubisky. He doesn't keep that job. 2023, Kenny Pickett.
Doesn't keep that job.
So it goes back a year longer than what you were saying.
Let me ask you about this, because this is the stupid stuff that goes through my head when I see these things.
This was your idea, not mine.
Oh, I know. I'm fully aware. I'm not blaming anybody.
Backing you up.
So Najee Harris was a co-captain as a rookie and hasn't been named. Yeah,
that was his second year. That was
second year. I'm sorry. Second year, he was co-captain with Mitch Trubisky and hasn't named a captain since. Does that say anything to you?
Well, they tried to ask Tomlin about that last year, about Najee being a captain versus not a captain. And it really, I mean, this is supposedly player vote, but I'm sure they do it secret ballot. I mean, that's how, when I was coaching football, that's how we figured out our captains for the varsity. But within that secret ballot, it's not like you had to you had to state the numbers of how it was selected. So I guess you could, kind of manipulate things if you really wanted to. I think maybe in 2020, it was just so close. They thought it should be both of them. Or maybe they knew that Trubisky probably wasn't going to be holding on to the starting job super long. So they wanted to have somebody else. There's a lot of different things you could go with there.
When Mitch got replaced by Kenny Pickett, do you think he still went out for the coin tosses, or do you think he just stood on the sideline and said, Najee, go take care of that?
I can't remember. I'm thinking he did, but I'm not sure.
I don't know.
I can't recall.
Yeah, you go to games. We don't see that on the television. So I've never privy to that, but still.
I don't pay attention when they walk out there. I'm in the end zone. I don't see jersey numbers. I just see down the row, and usually then I'm
Right.
so amped for the game, I'm not even caring about the coin.
I get it. So so defensively, no one's surprised. And I don't think special teams, anyone should be surprised either, unless it was Chris Boswell. But nonetheless, Miles Killebrew was an all-pro last year, for crying out loud. Like let's honor him that way. If there was someone else on this roster right now that you would say should be, or could be, not should be, could be an offensive captain that's not named Russell Wilson, who would it be?
Well, that's a great question.
Thank you.
Because if you look at the offensive line group, their leader is Isaac Seumalo, who's now injured.
Yeah.
You could say Najee Harris if he came back because he's been around, but the whole 5th-year option thing. No, I mean, it's not going to be George Pickens in his second year coming in the wide receivers. Is it really Pat Freiermuth as the tight ends? Not really. No, I mean, I don't know that you have really had much of another option.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, Seumalo would have probably been my choice if it wasn't for the injury, if they had a second one.
I agree. I agree with you. And again, with Miles Killebrew, he was an all-pro last year. So the dude deserves to be a captain.
That one was so easy.
Yes. Russell Wilson in his own right, yes, he's at the end of his career. The dude's won a Super Bowl. Walter Payton Man of the Year.
Yeah, there you go.
You got to kind of give him a little bit there and say, like, this guy is a leader. And he is a leader. People don't like him, but he's a leader.
Jeff, this now makes 12 straight seasons that Russell Wilson has been a captain. It's just now with his 3rd straight team. You have to go way back for him to not be a captain.
And people say, I don't know how Denver does their stuff, but people that say, oh, he was hated in the locker room. The guy was there. He was captain 2 times, right?
Yep.
So unless they don't vote on it in Denver, he couldn't have been hated that much in the locker room, because you could have had a Najee Harris situation in Pittsburgh where he hasn't been a captain since he was elected there that 1 year, that only time he's been a captain. So Russell Wilson couldn't be that much of a jerk in Denver if you elected him as your captain 2 times.
Yeah.
I don't know. We're paying a lot of attention to this. I find this stuff fun. So
I got one more trivia for you though, Jeff.
Let's finish the show with that.
Since I had one for both defense stuff with defense and special teams, let's go offense. Do you know when the last time was the Steelers did not have a quarterback as one of their offensive captains?
Jeez. I mean, you'd have to go. That would have to be. See, Ben wasn't a captain early in his career, was he? He wasn't a captain.
I only have data going back so far right now. So
I bet he wasn't a captain until like 2009 or 2008. Am I accurate?
You're correct. He was a captain in 2008. He was not in 2007. It was Hines Ward. But there's also been one other year in there where it was Ward and somebody else and not Ben, since Ben started being a captain in 2008. Like, I don't have 2006.
It would have been 2010, right?
That would have been 2010.
Yeah, because that was when you suspended at the beginning of the season.
And I thought that's why you would get that. And yes, and do you know who it was in place of Ben along with Hines Ward?
Heath.
Wasn't Pouncey. What's that?
Was it Heath?
You are correct. That would be
nice.
Very good. I knew this was right up your alley, Jeff. I knew it was. This, and since you're the only other person on the podcast right now, it kind of had to be.
That's true. Very good. All right. We've talked a lot about captains, probably longer than we should have, but nonetheless, I think we had some fun. We gave you some information. We're breaking the news, which is what we always want to do at the Steel Curtain Network, both on our podcast side. So if you're someone that's like, I don't have time to read, we try to give you these bits of news every single time they come out. So there you have it. Dave, any final thoughts?
Let's get this season rolling.
Yeah. So make sure you check out Steel Curtain Network. On Tuesday, we'll be having an article about what Mike Tomlin says at his press conference. Dave will be here with his press conference recap podcast. And we're going to have everything, injury reports, you name it, all at steelcurtainnetwork.com. Give us a check there. We do appreciate it. But in the meantime, thank you, Dave, for your time. This has been a Breaking News podcast. We'll see you next time. Take it easy.